you're doing well and having an awesome day and really excited for the holiday weekend that we're about to head into. Something new that I wanted to start is actually talking more about my coaching philosophy so that I can help more coaches out there. And not only that, but really specifically go through how I work through different problems that come up in different skill sets. Because the thing is about goalie and really any position that you're coaching is that you might have one drill that you know and works for a certain skill, but that drill might not resonate with a certain kid. And we see that across any position because all kids are different and everybody learns in different ways, all right? So the other thing I want to do is explain a little bit more about where these things come from and start to create more conversations, because if there's anything that I want to do is that I want to be the best at what I'm doing. And if somebody has an idea that's better or works better, I 100% want to know that, because what we're trying to do is make the best goalies out there that we possibly can and help them develop as fast as they possibly can. So with that being said, I'm going to dive into some stepping information today and some drills that you can take to work on with your goalies no matter what phase or stage they are in their journey. So the first thing I wanted to do is just talk about why you step in the first place. And I talk a lot about why I do certain things, or as goalies when I'm coaching goalies, why we do certain things, because I want them to understand why they're doing it. And a lot of times if you explain something to somebody, they're more likely to resonate with it and more likely to then go and do it. So stepping. Why do we step in the first place? Well, obviously, the most obvious reason is that our hands can only reach so far. So we need that step to create an extension of our hands to be able to move further, to be able to get balls that are maybe shot further outside towards the pipe. The other thing is it makes us move faster. So if my hand is only going here, but I add a step, I'm now able to meet that ball much sooner than I would have otherwise. Now, I will be honest, I'm not going to go into too much specifics about the stepping, but I just wanted to give that context of why it's important, and then generally my belief about stepping, because if I really talk to you more about it in depth, because a lot of how you step depends on each situation, I could be here talking for hours. So I'm going to save you that and instead just simply say that in my philosophy, I believe that you don't step one way. I'm not telling everybody to step on a 45 for every single shot, and I'm not telling everybody to come across at the same time for every single one, because it's different. What I believe is that you want to step to where the ball is. So if a shot is coming right in front of me, I'm stepping forward. If a shot is coming to the side of me, I'm stepping a little bit more lateral, maybe on a 30 instead of that 45. If a shot is coming straight at me, I'm stepping straight forward. So it all depends on where that ball is coming to you in relation to where you are in the goal. So when I step to the ball, that allows me to get my body behind it. So that's really my thought process with that. Again, I always want to hear thoughts and different perspectives. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, feel free to drop a comment and let me know. But the more important thing here I want to talk about is the progressions and what you can do as coaches to help your goalies and some things that you can look for. All right. So when I step personally, I take a hop step. All right. And I do this for purpose. It's not because it looks cool or anything like that. I do it because I explode so hard with my stepping that I have to take that hop step to rebalance myself, or else I would fly on my face. So if I'm going to take a step here, as I'll demonstrate, I push and then I get that hop step to pull myself back. Again, this is not something that I tell goalies that you have to do, because I'm not dogmatic in anything that I do. I will never believe there's a one size fits all. But for me, in my style, I always am pushing the explosion piece, and if that hop step works for you to reset, then I'm all about it. I find that a lot of goalies find success with it and really enjoy it. Again, it doesn't mean that is for everyone, but it's something to get them started. And as a goalie and as a coach, I'm all about pushing the explosion. I'm not necessarily concerned about it looking perfect. I'm more so concerned with them getting explosive with their hands and with their legs, because if we can get them explosive, chances are they're going to be meeting the ball much sooner, which is, at the end of the day, our goal as goalies is to make saves. So with that being said, what are some ways that we can get our goalies stepping more explosively and just generally stepping a little bit better? Now, I'm going to start at the very beginning. So one, you have a goalie that just is not stepping at all. how do we get them to step or to even understand the mechanics of stepping? And honestly, it goes way back. You throw down a stick on the side and don't even include that, all right? If you're just working on the stepping, have them focus on that, all right? And sometimes it's just as basic as putting out cones here and have them get in their position, step out, and reset. If you're trying to make it a little explosive, all right, you can cue them, talk them through that. I really want you to drive off of your trail leg and push as hard as you can. And then if you feel like you're gonna fall over, then you show them that hop step and what that looks like. For some people or some goalies, they're younger, they're not as coordinated, they don't really get the hop step thing or how they can utilize it. So I will literally have to walk through it with them and say, you're gonna push and then hop. And sometimes just practicing through that footwork at this pace is what they need to understand it and get that first. You know, it's a process. Everybody wants to jump right into the hop step, right into making it explosive, but you have to teach kids how to move well first before you get to that speed. And then they also have to develop that strength to also be able to move that efficiently. So remember, this is a process. The other thing I want to add here too is that I really like this because it adds an extra visual component to it. And this is what I'm talking about when I say some kids learn differently or will find different drills effective. For some kids that aren't stepping, the cone in front will be an awesome cue for them. For others, you might need a stick. They might need that physical touch right in front, all right? Especially if they're not bringing that back foot with them and it's hanging back, all right? They need to feel that so they can step over and then move forward that way. Another thing, if somebody is not bringing their back foot, is to use a mini band. You can get these anywhere, but definitely have to recommend CWS. They make great beast bands. So with that being said, it depends on what resistance level you're on. I typically will start kids out, especially this is for if somebody's not bringing that trail leg, or generally you want to work on explosiveness, lower body strength. If it's a band that's light, you can absolutely go down to the ankles, all right? The reason why I wouldn't necessarily use a super heavy band to start around somebody's ankles is because you're creating the greatest amount of tension at the ankles from this push here, all right? And what can happen is if this band is too strong for me, I tend to come in with my knee, right? And we're trying to avoid that. We want to create strong knees. So what you really want to do is have a band that provides a little bit of tension just so we get the cueing. And as far as where the band goes, again, I like to start at the knees just because it's above the knees, just because it's a little bit easier. Again, we're creating less distance of force. I won't go into details about that, but just know that the harder it is, it's going to be further away from your hips. So I'll start here, push, and then they'll get that pull to bring that leg. So again, that's a physical component that you can add into that as well. Something else that I will do for a goalie that's not stepping, or again, that you're just trying to work on that explosion, is I'll use a thick band, a long one. I'll attach it to the goal, and so it'll go behind them here, and then they'll put it over top. This will go at my waist right here, and this is something that they can do without a stick. Again, just working on the steps here. If you want to put cones out when you do this, could be a great idea as well, just so they're getting both the physical feedback of the band and the resistance, and they're seeing the target for where they're trying to go to. The other thing I will say that is really great to work on stepping is simply using a wall, because if I'm tossing against the wall, I step forward, well now I get that physical feedback that I'm getting closer to the wall, and therefore I'm stepping forward. Again, really focus though when you're communicating this with your goalies is that they're just trying to get behind the ball. So it's really important that they're not just throwing the ball straight up at them. This is why I like using the reaction ball, because not only are you improving your reaction time, but when I toss it, it could go sideways a little bit more lateral, which forces you to change how you're stepping. Because another thing I see is that kids go through these patterns and then they step the same way every single time. Well, as I said in the beginning, shots aren't always coming at you within your body frame. Some of them are going wide, and you need to be able to adjust, because if you're just stepping straight forward, that ball is going to go past you. And I see this happen a lot on off stick side, and kids are focused a lot on the step first. It's like a step forward, and then their hands come behind it, and then they're missing that. All right, so it's really important that we're stepping to the ball, and that they're getting used to stepping differently and really seeing that ball all the way as it's coming off the attacker's stick towards them. The other reason I really like the reaction ball is because it's something that they can do on their own. And you can find these pretty inexpensively on Amazon. So I cannot recommend that enough, especially during this time. A lot of goalies are alone. They might not have attackers near them. It's a really, really great tool to use. So that really is my go-tos on stepping. As you can see, you can pull it down and make it really elementary, or you can even make it advanced. So another way you can increase this is if I'm standing away from a coach, and then the coach is yelling shot, and I have to turn, land, and then step. You can also increase this to where maybe we're working on our mechanics of stepping laterally as we're moving across the crease, and then exploding forward. And you can use this in the same context with the cones. All right, or break it down to a ball toss. So maybe I'm just stepping laterally to start, stepping and reset like I'd be going around the crease, and then coach tosses a ball, and now I have to adjust, react, and now change how I'm stepping. Because as commonly seen at the highest levels, that's some of the hardest things to do for goalies, is once we're going here, and then changing direction, or still going forward once we're used to that lateral step coming across. So I know that was a lot of information for you guys and a lot of different things to take in, but I hope you get across that one, there are a lot of ways to do this, and I want to give you more tools that if something's not working, you can change it up pretty quickly. The other thing I want you guys to understand is that sometimes taking it down to the basics and slowing things down can be just as effective for helping goalies progress as it is, doing all these crazy other drills. Sometimes it doesn't have to be crazy, it doesn't have to be intense, but when the focus is there and the intent through each rep is there, they're going to get benefits from that. So don't necessarily feel like, it has to be super intense all the time. There is a time and a place for that, but there also is a time and a place for kids to really make sure they're getting quality movements and quality reps, so that the more they do that, the more it's going to play out in a practice setting. And the very last thing, I promise this is the last thing, is for you to make sure that you're telling your goalies that it is a process and it takes time. A lot of movement habits or movement patterns have developed because that's how they've moved over a long period of time, especially for the older goalies that are trying to make changes. It takes time, so it's really important that you have patience, but the more that you work on it, the easier it gets. And as always, if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk all things goalie. I love it. I hope this helps a lot of coaches and a lot of goalies out there. Again, really here to help you guys in any way, shape, or form. So don't hesitate to reach out, and look forward to talking to you guys soon. Bye.